and those tabs are still selected, and I'm just going to press extract
Okay.
again. And so I
Okay.
wanted these specific things from those tabs, and our AI agent can then extract that information from the page itself just using like the natural language. And it's also much faster. It should be with the fewer columns you want. So yes,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so it got the exact things I wanted, and
Immediately. Yeah.
could even be something more complicated.
Hi, my name is Dimitri Panici, and I'm a content creator, agency owner, and AI enthusiast. You're listening to the AI Agents Podcast, brought to you by Jotform, and featuring our very own CEO and founder, Ida Tank. This is the show where artificial intelligence meets innovation, productivity, and the tools shaping the future of work. Enjoy the show.
Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the AI Agents Podcast. In today's episode, we have the founder of Rtrvr.ai, Arjun, and I'm gonna leave it to you to say your last name. I should have asked prior how to pronounce it. It is a pleasure to chat with you about your app. This is one of those applications where you see it and you immediately get the application, especially with the world we live in now. And obviously, the entirety of this podcast is around AI agents. I have been talking a lot about AI agents to automate tasks on a practical level that you can kind of see the tasks being performed. And I think Rtrvr is going to be one of those products that gets a lot of traction in this year. So if you want to introduce yourself and how the product got to where it is today, your story, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm Arjun Cintapalli. That's how you pronounce it, but it sounds like a little bit Italian if you could squint. But yeah, yeah. So I worked at Google for 5 years on like vertical federated learning. So like have been very deep into the AI ML space. Worked on like setting up a new model ways of training models to train on si data silos. But when ChatGPT came out, I immediately thought about like this is going to change everything. And I was thinking through applications for this and went through a couple of hackathons and iterated on this idea that like there's a huge scraping problem where people want to compile data sets from the web, but they're manually either copying pasting it or like having like custom scripts to do it. And it seemed like if the you can get an agent to like navigate the web and retrieve that data for you, that would be extremely useful. So I did a couple of hackathons iterating on like a toy problem of like for every municipality in California, get its audit file. So it's like you navigate starting from like a local government websites or like like all the municipalities, and you could iterate from there. So from this toy problem, I kept working on it, and with my co-founder Bhavani, we both were doing these hackathons, both iterating and trying to figure out how to do this. And we settled on the idea of a Chrome extension that can do actions on the browser, your local browser, and uh, retrieve this data to Google Sheets for you. And we looked at other players in the space. It's like, hey, yeah, there's a solid market here. There's existing companies like Bardeen or like Magical or other Thunderbit or like Browse.ai that are like trying to solve this problem as well, but they're not using AI web agents that can autonomously do actions on a page to do this.
Hmm.
So yeah, so with that, we kept working on the Chrome extension, getting some traction with early customers, and we released Christmas Eve. So not the best time to release
Nice.
probably, but yeah. So since then, we've been loading up new features, and yeah, maybe I can just show it in action. And
I'm just actually curious before we get into the like kind of you actually performing with the product. Um, what necessarily drove you to want to make something that was kind of in this space? Because obviously you brought up the other tools, but what did you see specifically that they were lacking, like Bardeen or any of these other products, for example? Like what did you see that specifically that they were lacking that you wanted to improve upon?
yeah, I think it was more coming from the other direction of like playing around with LLMs to like do actions on a web page, and it's like, in what ways, what like target use cases could we go after with this, like after figuring out like
Yeah.
initial implementation. And we saw Bardeen like target for like it's for sales people or
Yep.
for
Yep.
so it's like, okay, yeah, we can do this better, like scrape this page with just like a
Yep.
sentence. You don't need to do any clicks or like so then we like just went after that use case of like, all right, let's like make demo after demo on this and like really harness it so that it's completely intuitive as much as we can.
Hmm.
So
Cool.
like yeah, these other tools you have to like click and show like demonstrations of like, hey, this is like the table or these are the fields I want. But with our retriever tool, you could just say, I want the name, education, experience, and click, and the schema is automatically generated. And if you want like the more contact info, like the email, like it will do that action and like get that data as well. Yeah.
Interesting. So I just want to touch on this real quick because I think it's something important that you mentioned. Is this also not only, I mean, we talk about scraping. It's and on your website, like it's tagged as like retrieve whatever you want with the internet, retrieve, research, automate the web. I think something good about products like yours, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, are well positioned to kind of, for lack of a better term, reduce or remove any RPA products that don't really have the level of capabilities. Because if you are you familiar with like Microsoft Power Automate or anything like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's another target use case because we can you can record you demonstrating like a action, and with that recording grounding the model, actually it's like it will 100% like usually replicate that action. So we are also targeting automations, but like we're kind of limited in that we are a Chrome extension, so we can only do actions in the browser, but we can
sure.
automate those actions. Yeah, so RPA as well as like scraping as well as like just being all around productivity tool. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Well, if you want to take a stab at it here and showcase some of your best use cases, I think that would be the next thing would be good for the audience to
Yeah.
see.
I can show the screen here.
Yeah, and if you could, when you're going through it, like feel free to embellish kind of the work that you've done on the back end that we don't necessarily get to see. Obviously, we're going to get to see like it work in action, but like I always find it intriguing how, someone as the founder like yourself can actually really understand what the back end's doing in order to make it happen, because it could pique someone's interest as to why you guys are different than other
Yeah.
products. Yep.
Yeah, of course. So, as we mentioned, we're like a Chrome extension listed on the Chrome Web Store. So it's like we went through Google's security and privacy review.
Yep.
And we can do a demo use case. Say you just typed in this natural language, find Rtrvr.ai's LinkedIn page and follow, and our agent takes actions on the page, right? Like search for retriever. It can do, oh, the demo gods were not with me, but it went to like retrvr, but it figured out that it's actually following, it's already following retriever. So, um, but before it goes off the rails, so like, yeah, so what are we doing here is similar to Operator or like a Google's Mariner, we're taking actions on the page, but we're only using the DOM itself. So like we're interacting with the HTML of the page. And these other tools, they're taking screenshots and figuring out, hey, this is an element here. I need to click on this, and that's like fundamentally limiting, right? So you would have to
Okay.
like take scrolls, you have to scroll through all the different things and like take screenshots there and then submit it to the model all at once. But with the HTML, this whole page is already there. So you don't, it's much faster. And it also allows you to do actions across tabs. So if you have like multiple tabs that you want to like extract, right? Like
Sure.
yeah, and so our Chrome extension could do actions on those tabs in the background without like I actually don't know where it's going to. Hopefully, it creates a Google Sheet here, but like yeah. So okay, yeah. So what I just did right here was like, okay, I selected these three Amazon tabs of like Google or sorry, Pixel headphones and like other headphones. And I didn't
Hmm.
even define a schema. I was like, figure it out, right? Like if you just don't define anything, it figured out, right? Like, hey, these are products. I'll get the image and the product name and like these other attributes of these three different tabs, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to do any clicking. You don't even have to type. You just click a button and it will scrape all of that information to this Google Sheets here. And yeah, so beyond scraping, we also have like research, like kind of like deep research, but like deep research with your own tabs. And
Hmm.
you could do actions across tabs, right? Like you can, if you have a bunch of docs, you could just ask them or like say, fill out this form with this
Hmm.
PDF. So like
Oh,
our
wow.
custom approach of doing like this background tabs and using only the HTML allows us to because these background tabs don't get rendered by the browser. So that's why you see operator only do on the active current tab.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
so with ours, right, we can do it on, so maybe it's having issues. Maybe it's because I had those pages open like a
All
while
good.
ago. Maybe I did not pray to the demo gods enough, clearly. And so I think there's an issue if it's like a long lasting page,
Okay.
there like the DOM is like kind of deprecate, like it's kind of like cleared from memory.
Got it.
So I could
Okay. So,
so if it's like a new page, like yeah, you just see like it kind of I think I had those tabs open from yesterday
oh,
and
okay.
they
Okay.
were just like not loaded in the browser.
Okay.
So with this, hopefully it should work fine now. But
Got it.
the yeah,
Yeah.
so
Look
it
at,
was
oh,
much
wow. Okay.
faster. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, I should have but anyway, so it's like we can get the image URLs and you could see and like compare these products yourself. And that was without any clicking and yeah.
Yeah. Let
And
me just call something to attention here because I find this pretty interesting. So, for those of the audience that are unaware, to my knowledge at least, most products like this, for example, a Bardeen, you would have to make a predefined playbook. You would have to like, and they've done some good implementations where you can like use some of their preset playbooks, or you can use what's called a magic box, where you can say, "Do X, I want you to do XYZ thing," and it'll make a predetermined automation. And then you have to find all of the page aspects that you then want to put into, for example, a Google Sheet. You literally just clicked on the tabs and pressed extract. That's actually crazy. So I don't want to. We're kind of going. Unfortunately, with the lag on the first one, I just want to make sure we hone back in on like what it actually did. So literally, he all Arjun did was picked a couple of tabs, and it took all of the what I would imagine a majority of the relevant data, and then made it comparable on one Google Sheet. Now, I do have a specific question. Is there any way for you to ask it to have specific schema, right? Like it just
yeah.
assumed schema, but like this is the prompt section I'm seeing that I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah. So if you just want your own specific thing, like maybe color, price, delivery date, and those tabs are still selected, and I'm just gonna press extract
Okay.
again. And so
Okay.
I wanted these specific things from those tabs, and the our model, like our AI agent, can then extract that information from the page itself, just using like the natural language. And it's also much faster. It should be with the fewer columns you want because LLMs
Sure.
have like
Yeah.
a quadratic scaling with the output
Hmm.
token. So
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it got the exact things I wanted, and
Immediately. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So it could even be something more complicated that on this page, click on like the reviews, like the what is it? Like get the most recent review instead and get the like do this action on the page and
I want to
also
see
get
that.
it.
That'd be very. Let's keep going with this Amazon example because I find it kind of
Okay,
even
let me
applicable for personal use.
Me. Okay. So I have those tabs selected, and maybe I could just say extract the
Okay.
color price, and also click on top on most recent reviews and get the most recent review
Okay.
and review time maybe. So
Hmm.
honestly, like it's the world's your oyster with these prompts, right? Like
Yeah.
you could ask for anything, any combination. I also have never done this before, so let's hope the demo gods are with us and it can do those actions across the tabs. So let's see if it clicked.
It did.
Most
It
recent,
did
yeah, it
click. It
did.
did
It went
click
to
on
most
most
recent,
recent.
yeah, yeah. And it clicked on yeah, on all of them across all the tabs. Thank you.
You're like, okay, thank goodness that worked. Yeah.
Yeah, because some you
It
never
just did
know
it.
with these
It just
things.
did it in
Yeah,
front of our very eyes. I saw it just
yeah, it just
change
switched.
it.
And so
Very
you couldn't
cool.
do this with operator because with
Yeah.
operator it would have to go to each page at a time, and then maybe it's like a 90% success rate with each tab. And so if you have like 10 rows of this, it's like an exponential failure rate. But if you parallelize it and distribute it like this, that failure rate is much, much less. So it got all of
Interesting.
these things, and we can
Most
just
recent
see
view, 3 years
February
of good
10.
use out of, yeah, I remember seeing 3 years of good on the Google Buds, if I
And I think for
recall.
this one, it's something about 6 mics. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So yeah,
Awesome.
with the other tools, you would need to define automation, show some recordings, and you don't
Yeah,
even need
like
to demo the recording for this, but
you didn't
you
even
could
try
have
that
if
hard
you
on that
want. Yeah.
prompt to be blunt. You didn't even try that hard on that prompt. That was pretty impressive. That's kind of that's kind of breathtaking. So, can you explain again what that meant, by the way, with failure rate and operator? And by the way, for
Mhm.
those who are unaware, ChatGPT Operator is the recently released AI agent that's available for only the Pro plan, which costs $200 a month.
Yeah, ours only costs 9.99 a month, and you have a free tier. But yeah, with the failure rate, I meant with each step that you take, the
Yeah,
LLM has X% chance of failure.
sure.
It's maybe it's only right 90% of the time.
Yeah,
But if you start doing like steps, you need three-step plan. That's actually 90% times 90%. Like, so it's
90%
point
times
0.9
90%.
times point 0.9 times point 0.9.
Yeah,
So the total task completion rate is actually like something like
it's like
zero point
72%.
0.7.
70,
Yeah,
yeah,
72%. Yeah.
yeah.
But if I split it out like this into parallel tasks, right? Like, so this was like a two-step thing, like do this action, extract this data. Now it's only per row, it's only 80% chance. But if you 80% chance per row.
Hmm.
But with operator, it would have been like these 4 rows and 2 steps per row. So it's like zero point 0.9 to the power 8, which actually is like probably like close to 50%. Or
Wow.
yeah, it's lower
Yeah,
than
that was pretty
50%.
good.
Yeah,
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 wow.
yeah.
Okay. And the reason that
So,
just so I can to understand one more time, what is the reason that yours is stepped out separately? Is it basically because like the in order for operator to not fail, it has to go through the entire process for the execution to be valid because it's not in the browser, it's in its own ecosystem, or am I misstating that?
so they're actually setting up a cloud browser over
Yeah,
there.
it's
They're
not
just
your browser,
hosting it
it's
there.
a
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
the key reason is they can only do actions on the current active tab. But mine can do tab like actions on tabs in parallel. So these are 4 separate tabs, and I'm doing
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
actions
yeah.
on those 4 separate tabs
Yeah,
independently of each other. But operator
got
would
it.
like go visit the first URL, do those actions, go visit. So it's like a sequential process.
Understood. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why you went down row by row, which would be a different. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Cool. That is awesome. So we talked through your explore capabilities, your
Oh, that was
extraction
extract.
capability, or
Yeah,
sorry, your
so
extraction capabilities. Yep.
I could show the Explorer really quickly. So you were actually the inspiration for this deep crawling. I saw your video on Bardeen and I was like, oh, that's super cool. I get it. Like you
Yeah.
have like paginated responses and maybe you just want these first five PDFs here and like extract this data from the first five PDFs. And this Explore capability is that I can open, okay, so it didn't work this time. Let me just try again. But the explore capability is I can spin off X subtasks on a page as a new tab and do those independently, like similar, like you don't have to have them opened already. So I gave this prompt of for the first five papers, extract this information. And so it opened these links themselves and they were from the main page.
Mhm,
So it distributed these subtasks, opened them as new tabs, and did those in
mhm.
parallel and
Okay.
extracted
Yeah.
back to Google Sheets. So, and you could have just said for all of these pages, for all the pages here, go through all the PDFs and extract this information. So it would have opened all of these PDFs as tab batches, extracted the information, wrote that row, and eventually like made its way through all of these multiple pages. So the explore feature kind of leverages that deep crawling of like paginated sites, and so from this parent website that was that list, it opened this like actual website that was the paper website, like, and extracted the top author, summary, and all of these. Another use case could be you're on LinkedIn and you have a bunch of jobs, and you could say apply to all these jobs in parallel, and it would open those jobs as a new tab and apply them in parallel. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so this is another great example of it though, because I noticed some issues when I've used Bardeen and other products. It seems like you guys have the capability to have multiple actions even happening at once, and also spreading it across multiple tabs when you're doing one execution of something. Um, what's able to like make what was this one of the things that you noticed originally that was kind of an issue with some of those other products? Because for me, I've always kind of been frustrated whenever I'm doing something RPM or scraping related, and it's like stuck on one thing at a time almost, right? Um, am I incorrect in saying that you can run multiple different Retriever AI requests at the same time since it's tab
Yeah.
oriented?
So you could have multiple windows open, and in so
Oh,
this
Windows. Okay,
Chrome extension is like per window. So the side
per
panel
window.
opens per window, and
Window.
you
Mhm.
could have multiple windows open and execute things in parallel, and you could have it running in the background. So we have like a schedule feature, like it will schedule
Okay, this is
something to
interesting too. I was going to ask that next. Yeah.
so you could schedule something and do something, and you could just be on your own thing doing something and not even pay attention to it, and it won't take like it won't open new tabs actively that will like change the focus of the Chrome browser. But
So
yeah,
where
I
would
think
that be? Just where would that be running in practicality when
it's
it's doing the background scheduler?
so it's still all on your local laptop and
Okay.
browser.
Okay.
So you would need the laptop open and you would need Chrome open. But we actually think this is like a positive because eventually we'll have to set up like a cloud browser as well,
Of course.
similar to Operator. But for now, we think this is a positive because if you have an AI browser agent, like it could do anything. Imagine the page changes and now it's like a scammer asking you, the AI web agent, to like donate money or like make a purchase, and
Sure.
no one's like monitoring it, right? And if it's just running on like OpenAI's like infrastructure and you forgot about it and it's just been running for like a month, and now like because it has your credentials of your credit card and etc., and it just made a purchase, and then you're like checking your credit card. So it's like these browser agents, because they're autonomous and can do actions independently, you kind of do want to monitor them and make like have like a running idea of what all is like you have going on, like you have executing in the background. So it making sure like it has to be on your local browser for now, like should make people more secure, feel more secure.
Yeah, that's fair. LastPass, one password, all those sorts of things, plus something like this now creep me out. Um, but maybe you want to have it installed on a browser that doesn't have the password thing that also includes bank account information. Um,
Yeah, I
for all.
actually saw that there was like a tweet going on that like OpenAI passwords got leaked. I got scared. I like immediately like went to and like reset my passwords. But and then imagine like having it in a cloud browser somewhere and like maybe you have like a couple like oh my God, so much maintenance. With
Yeah,
this one, it's just within your own browser. You don't have to like it doesn't even have access to it. Like it's assumed like these sites are logged in, right? Like Amazon is like already on my account. Okay, yeah, it's already on my account. I just happen to be logged out. But
no, it's all good.
so
Hmm.
yeah, or yeah, even LinkedIn, I'm logged in. So it doesn't you don't need to share anything with us. We don't even take passwords for the extension itself, just do Google sign in.
So when it comes to this product, obviously there is a wealth of industries that would benefit from this because it is pretty broad. But what do you think some of the main use not use cases, but like industry segments do you think could benefit from this? Because I know with Bardeen we mentioned sales and scraping kind of go hand in hand. And what's interesting to me is that could still be the case, scraping for that same reason. And it actually kind of it's just so interesting because I mean you've been, I'm sure, around tech for a long time. Scraping was such a manual process. Like I remember it was like magical to be able to go onto somebody's LinkedIn and get their email, right? For something like that. And but you'd have to go tab by tab and tab by tab and click it. Do you think that there's and this is something that I've used before. There's like products called Overloop, for example. This is a LinkedIn browser tool, or sorry, Chrome browser tool that allows you to go on somebody's LinkedIn and get their email or their phone number, right? If they have it there. Does this
Y-
would this tool be able to basically take uh, a two Chrome browser step sort of thing by telling it to use the other Chrome extension
Uh,
to scrape a bunch of emails?
I think that specific use case you gave, it should be able to do like, but like no, it unfortunately
Okay,
this since this is a Chrome extension as well, it's kind of hard. It can't interact with other Chrome
okay,
extensions.
got it. Okay,
So Chrome, like Google set up a really good sandbox within Chrome for Chrome extensions, so they can be very secure, and you don't
got it.
have to worry about anything. But I could do that use case right now, like click contact info and get Arjun's email or oh my God. Okay, I hope this doesn't go wrong. I mean, I guess people would know the email. They could just do it themselves. So like fair
I
enough.
see. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
got
So
it.
it was able to
Interesting.
do that action itself and get it. And you could have it as part of, so we have this other feature of like Sheets workflows. So you could give
Okay,
like a Google Sheet of URLs. So maybe like a bunch of LinkedIn profiles. And you could say like
could
extract
you do
this
a
information.
two-stepper? Could you do a two-stepper where you
Yeah,
say you
yeah. It's
scrape
the
like an industry and get that on a Google sheet and then tell the Google sheet or tell the agent then to extract everything from that Google sheet? Like I
yeah.
just okay, yeah,
Exactly. So you can set like a input URL column. It could be anything. Yeah, I could just
sure,
do the one I have here and give the prompt that could include actions to take on the page. And yeah, you could do that. And we are actually even we actually thought much deeper on this as well. And I don't know if you know about Clay, which allows you to enrich like information from other sources. So we kind of have this deep research sheets workflows where say you have like a column of company URLs and it will and you want to enrich that information with like PitchBook or Crunchbase and you could give the prompt for every single like company on this in this column, go get their headcount, latest headcount, latest fundraise, what like current series like of like series A, B, and it would actually research on these websites in parallel and extract that as a long row. I could give a quick example.
I had heard of Clay, but I'd never used it prior. I think
Yeah, it's a
it
little expensive, so that's
yeah.
probably why. So I had already done this a little bit earlier. Like I had a list of companies and I wanted their LinkedIn employee count. I wanted like some features from their main web page and use cases. So it's able to, similar to like per each row, open like five websites like LinkedIn, Crunchbase, PitchBook, and research those that information on that tab itself. Like search on
Sure.
LinkedIn for that company, go to that profile, company profile, figure out how many employees they have, and extract it. So I actually didn't mention this deep tab research. So similar to so if you had like a couple of these tabs open, like Retriever, Bardeen, Browse, and you want to compare them by like companies, by strategy, features, pricing, that involves you like trying to navigate these web pages independent, like take go to pricing page on Browse, go to pricing page on Bardeen, go to pricing page
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and do like this kind of research from those starting URLs and extract it to like a Google sheet of comparing these companies by these dimensions. And this allows you to do like supply like paywalled sites or sites that only you have a subscription for, or like there's a login wall. Because all of those websites, like Google Deep Research nor OpenAI's Deep Research, they can't scrape, and so they don't have it as possible source for their deep research agent. If that does that make sense? Or
Yeah. No, it does.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so you could, since these tabs are being opened locally on your browser, all of those websites are now game for this kind of research. And I thought like it's a much better representation to have this research represented as like a matrix, because like who's reading all these reports that like 6-10 page reports from deep research. What you really want is like a condensed representation. And yeah, let me try to make it. Okay, maybe not this one. I'm trying to do the wrapping. Okay. So if you have like a condensed representation like this, okay, like I can just look at pricing for all of them over here. And this is like much more useful to people. That's our theory, than having like a 10-page report that from sources like Reddit, like some person's random Reddit comment, instead of sources that you can control. And it was also relatively fast. This actually took a little bit longer than expected,
Okay.
but it should be faster if you try it out again. But yeah, so we think it's also cheaper and faster than those other solutions.
Interesting. Okay. So, question about this, because obviously you keep bringing it up, and I think it's very interesting. You keep talking about the benefits of the fact that it's in the browser, and I 100% agree with you that there is a huge benefit to it being in your browser, you having the login capabilities. But I have another question that obviously you're just a Chrome browser right now. In the future, do you have goals and aspirations for it to be a desktop app? Is that something that's feasible to kind of go above and beyond the limitations that exist within just being in the Chrome ecosystem?
Yeah, so since I worked at Google, I'm a Google fanboy. I
Sure, of
think
course. Yeah.
Google Chrome is one of the most complicated pieces of software that the average person actually uses. It has
Hmm.
millions of lines of C++
It
code that is
does. It
highly
does.
performant. And I actually enjoy being a browser extension because it's a sandbox, people trust it. I think I saw some other tools that were kind of like that. Hey, install my app, and I'm like, I don't even want to try it, and I'm curious, right? Like, so curious to try it, but like, I don't want to install a random desktop app that I don't know what it's doing. But
Yep,
even as
that's
someone
fair.
technical, I have some hesitation, so I don't have such an idea. But I think there's some exciting things I'm really looking forward to, like setting up cloud browsers that can execute things on your own schedule, like independent of your laptop being on. And one exciting thing I'm really thinking of is trying to do collaborative data sets, right? So I can, maybe there's like 1,000 URLs, and I want to, like, with you, like with a group of people, try to like scrape these sites, do actions on them, and extract X data. And with my own like laptop, maybe it's not enough resources, or like they're going to block me, or it gets complicated. But say you do 100 and I do 100 rows, and then
Sure.
together we construct a data set. And like as you get more people, it can scale up, obviously. But you can, so that's the one thing I'm really excited for, that I think is kind of the future. Because if you look at how a lot of these scrapers work, right, they're kind of like using having like a browser run in the cloud, but actually like websites easily block that. Like Cloudflare
Yeah.
blocks those requests off the bat. So what do they do is they pay for residential proxies. So all
Okay.
of these random VPNs, they're secretly probably like making requests for these. So from the browser, it's like making a request for this website, but they route the request to these residential IP addresses. And it's a little sketchy. No one knows where it's coming from. My personal theory is like these random VPN providers everyone is installing, they're making money on the side by providing these proxies. But anyway, so when that request is actually coming from someone's like home IP, then the website actually like process that request and like sends it over. And it's kind of a long, convoluted way to do this like scraping. If you look at the infrastructure, it's also very expensive. So it's like, hey, let's cut out all of these steps and do these collaborative scraping where I want to contribute to this data set that could be useful for a lot of people, but there's no like resources, right, currently that can support it.
Okay. So I didn't actually think of it until you brought it forward with the Google Chrome being as complex as it is. And then obviously your concerns about a desktop agent. Um, it's funny even a lot of people aren't aware of the Chromium foundation that exists on the majority of browsers. Um, like for example, I have a pretty important question. Your product is also available on the Edge store, right? Because,
Uh,
or
I
is it
haven't
not?
looked into Edge or Arc yet. It's on the roadmap. I'll
Is on
get
the
there. It's
roadmap?
just that
Okay. Because
Chrome is 90% of the
this is one of
market.
those
Yeah.
unique situations where it actually probably be complicated. Because most of the time it's pretty much a port from my understanding. But since you guys specifically are dealing with the interface and, like interacting with the interface, I could I could see where there's actually some issues, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. I need to look into the what is different about listing on the Edge store or Arc as well, these other browsers. It's just we're trying to ramp up. Like it's like a whole new world on like these kind of things that we can do with like getting
Wait
AI
a
to do
second.
tasks on the browser. Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, actually, no, you actually, no, it is just a port still. You're actually able to just, I have it on my Edge right now.
Oh, it
Basically,
works?
the way that it works is there is no real Chrome, there's no real like Microsoft Edge store. It's just since everything is Chromium based, you can install anything on the Google Chrome store on Edge, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if you've ever dealt
Okay,
with. Yeah, I personally I know you're a former Googler. I actually am an Edge user. Um,
really, I
I
think you're the
know
first
it's
one I met.
yeah. There was something that happened a couple years ago. I used Brave, which I don't know if you're familiar with
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
That's generally used by gamers and crypto fanboys. But then I got annoyed with how it handled cookies, and then I switched over to Edge. Um, don't have that much of an issue with Chrome, but I guess now we've kind of settled that situation because I had a moment where I was like, can I download this? Because I used it on Chrome you were very because when you said you were a Googler and how important it was, I'm like, all right. So I'll try it on Chrome. But yes, you can install it on any of the Chromium based browsers. It's something that is a little weird and complicated, but yeah, no, I really like what I'm seeing with this product. I had one specific question as well as I saw when you were doing the previous prompting for the deep research,
Hmm.
I noticed something that I'm hoping is something that I think it is. There was a screen recording or a demonstration option. Like there was something where it's like,
Uh,
what is that? Because is this
yeah.
giving it context as to how to do something via screen recording?
So yeah, we have this advanced options where you can like select previous tasks or like you could record you demonstrating an action, like maybe on LinkedIn, like this
Sure.
search thing, because the search filters could get very complicated to
Sure.
search.
Hmm.
And with this, when you click record, it actually records the DOM interactions. Hey, this element
Okay.
was clicked.
The
This,
elements
so
clicks.
we're
Yeah.
not
Okay.
actually recording the screen itself. So another trust
Like an
and safety thing.
RPA, like an RPA, Microsoft Power Automate extension, but you're leveraging your AI on top of that, so
Yeah,
it's
so
more. Yeah.
the sequence of actions that you did, we add it to the model's context, so it figures
Okay.
out when it tries it again. Oh, maybe I should click this thing instead of going off the rails. So yeah, and you could also give like a con sheet as context and do actions like that as well. But yeah, I think what I really wanted to show is that we also have function calling built in that you
Oh
can
shoot.
define
Okay.
functions that you can like APIs you can call. So we
Very
have
cool.
one that ships with like send a Slack message. So you could define this function itself. It's a little bit more complicated. Like we can for non-technical people, we appreciate that it's complicated, but you could just type with natural language and like have a convert button as well.
Sure.
And since they're shareable, we're hoping people can, it just takes one person to figure it out and set something up that is usable for other people. But say
Okay.
I have this Slack message function and I'm on this page and like I'm just saying, send a Slack message to the channel of the top headline using Slack message function. I just had to, sometimes it's like, with LLMs, it's iffy whether it like actually does it or not.
Sure.
But say I have this, just with this natural language prompt, the LLM can figure out, hey, I need to make these arguments to this function, and this function gets executed locally within the Chrome extension. So nothing like those access tokens, they never leave your Chrome extension. So it doesn't leave and the local browser. So I had this already set up. So it's like time is 4:50, and it just like uh, sent this message of like Trump moves to like impose tariffs, right? So that was like
Hmm.
the top headline right now,
Hmm.
and it yeah, it called it by itself and executed it. And you could think of use cases like I need to load this to my CRM database, or load this lead to my CRM database, or it's like endless possibilities. Yeah,
Hey, can this be utilized? Can these actions, they're called actions, right? Or functions, sorry. Can these
yeah,
functions be
function
utilized with the recurring uh
like the
option or recurring
scheduler.
background yeah, the schedulers or no?
Yeah, so right now, no, but it's not that hard. We just like slammed with work.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it should be feasible within a month that they should be, yeah, you could have a prompt and it could execute like on
In my opinion,
schedule and yeah.
that's ideal, right? That would be something where you can, rather than it being limited to like Google Sheets or something like that, it could, hopefully, when it finds a lead or something, right? It could. I use Notion for like all my management of like work, so it could maybe use the API to create pages instead, or something to that effect. Because I'm a very big user of APIs. I live
Oh,
on
okay.
make.com. I love it. It's like I mean I spend lots on automation per month.
Oh,
So
really? You're
I
the
love it.
perfect
Yeah.
user.
Yeah, no, and so if for example this would have the ability to do research in such a way where it is kind of doing work that I would do in a browser, then I could, for example, populate that information inside of like a database that makes sense, even if it's a little bit complicated. I would love to do it. Like for example, you want to hear something crazy? There is you can actually this product, I guess, for the public that's maybe unaware of this concept. Retriever in theory could be like a money saver for other products that charge too much for APIs. Like so, for example, if you found a way to, are you familiar with like SEMrush? You know what SEMrush is?
Yeah, vaguely. Is it like a
Okay,
SEO tool or?
correct. Yep. Yeah, it's an SEO tool. So SEMrush's pricing is like decently okay until you want to pay for the API. It's this is not an exaggeration, $500 a month if you want to go to the plan that has an API. The next closest price is $249, and then it's $139. You can basically, with this tool, if you trained it on how to figure out how to find low keyword difficulty, high keyword volume keywords, and you wanted it to populate in a database in a separate system, you'd have a research on the user interface and your logged in SEMrush account rather than needing to pay the 500, like 500 a month
Yeah.
to be able to utilize the API. And that's some of the applications I'm seeing here. A lot of people um, like price gouge for APIs, and it's really weird. And you
That's
can kind of like
exactly, yeah.
circumvent it in a way.
We want to meld the interface between UIs and APIs. So like have Retriever be like that melding layer to do workflows with on the web pages as well as APIs with just natural language, with you just writing sentences. And yeah, we want to make.com like similar level functionality just accessible to people with within their browser. So one thing is that you can compose like maybe you have like you can compose a sequence of tasks, right? Like do this action and then do like this other action, and you could so you could kind of do like those make.com pipelines just all within the browser without like doing
Exactly.
complicated drag and drop or like figuring out all these APIs. You could just have it as sentences and go run with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because in some circumstances you're going to need like webhooks and like instant webhooks for like for example, the reason I'm big into it is I deal a lot with content and a lot of content's like if then workflow stuff for like status changing and stuff. So that probably wouldn't need to be changed with what you guys are doing. But on the research side, for sure, it's like APIs are limited by specific endpoints and actions, right? And if you can utilize the action of the API that is in add new page, for example, in Notion or in Google Sheets, like add new row in Google Sheets or add new page in database, but then have everything pre that add pre that add step be a AI agent interacting on the browser and then extracting the data and putting it into the ad page. That is like much simpler, but a lot of people don't. But like for me, I'm just attempting to do the complicated step by steps without the uses of the use of the browser. But for me, I'm like, yeah, this is great because I don't have to deal with all that nonsense anymore because it's a little annoying when APIs are limited in such a sense. Like I have so many complaints with so many different products for like, oh, like everyone's been requesting this one endpoint for like a year, or 2 years, and they just haven't bothered. But with this, it's kind of a circumventing of that situation. So it's very cool.
Yeah. And hopefully, I think we're really targeting people even less savvy than you are with these make.com pipelines and someone who has the need for some tasks to be automated, but they're not technical enough even to set up like a make.com pipeline and they don't want to. But like, hey, I can just with a sentence describe that task, execute it, see, hey, it works, and then put it on a schedule or like make that a step in a multi-step pipeline and just get it to run locally. So we're
Yeah.
hoping, yeah, similar to, yeah, like, but just even people even less technically savvy. And I had this on the browser the whole time, but like, yeah, we have a GraphBot feature where you can,
Very
similar to
cool.
Anthropic's artifacts, have self-contained artifacts that you can just like get executed and run. Like, so for example, any like LLMs are not only great for data extraction, but also like reformatting it. Like, so maybe like you have this table and you're like, I want to set up a graph of this instead with this graph bot feature, and you can prompt it like, please make a bar graph. So we're taking all of this website to the LLM, and the LLM is writing the code to create this kind of graph artifact similar to Anthropic cloud artifacts. And we're hoping eventually we'll figure out like other useful artifacts that maybe like every morning you have like a table of news from all these different websites that you want to execute every morning and you just want to see it. Or yeah, we're open to ideas.
Very cool. No, I mean, there's a lot you can do with this, and there's a lot that it seems like you're planning on doing. But as we I mean, we're getting close to the end of the
Mhm.
length we usually run episodes, but I think this has been very informative. You guys got a lot of very cool stuff. So let's kind of bring it to a close here with what your final
Okay.
showcase is for everyone.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We were just trying to compare it to the whole landscape I like iterated on, like that we're
Yeah.
basically taking a text approach, can do multiple actions in the background, targeting productivity compared to like operator and others targeting like booking flights, right? That's a very complex thing and it's not repetitive. We think the productivity is perfect for like these manual and repetitive tasks and the benefits of being a Chrome extension, like kept mentioning that as well, and how we distribute subtasks instead of just doing like a huge like sequence of steps on one tab is leads to like much smaller failure rates. And that we have the way that we're setting up function calling allows us to do like user defines any third party integration, but like for operator, it's like, hey, they have partnership with Expedia, like custom, so it's not scalable. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you for giving me some time, and hopefully we'll run into each other again, Dimitri. And I usually follow your videos and podcasts anyway, so I'm gonna see you. But
I'm all over the internet. Some would say too much on the internet, but definitely,
no,
but no, I appreciate it, and definitely everyone who's interested in having a product retrieve, research, and automate things on their day to day, I would recommend checking out Rtrvr.ai. It's spelled not the way that the word retrieve is spelled. It's spelled Rtrvr.ai. It's definitely, I mean, the free plan gives you about 50 credits a month. You get for $9.99 a month, 1,000 credits, which honestly, for a lot of people, you're going to not blow through that. And then there is a pro and enterprise option. As everybody in SaaS has the same pricing model. No offense to you. It's the world we live in. But no, honestly, man, this is very interesting. You guys are so early on that I'm going to be keeping an eye on you closely because I'm an automation and AI nerd. So I'm going to be like, all right, uh, let's finally get some automation scraping tools that I can stomach. Because for a while I've been like, dude, I'm just I appreciate what everyone's trying to do. This is actually impressive. This is the first time I've ever seen someone just type a prompt and it's like, oh yeah, we can make the columns for you. Like that's been something that's been frustrating the whole time that you have to like, for lack of a better phrase, like schema. Yeah, I have to like be the. I was trying to think of a
exactly. I
yeah,
think I
like
saw your videos and I was like, dude, this could be so much easier,
I
right?
know,
And
yeah.
yeah,
And it's not like these, we've come a long way from the RPA days of like Microsoft Power Automate like 5, 6 years ago, where you'd attempt to have it click on the same web elements over and over again and it would fail. So we're a long way from that. Don't get me wrong, but this is the first example of where I was like, all right, I type a prompt out, it figures out contextually what would be some good stuff on the page to scrape. I don't have to hold its hand, but I can hold its hand if I want, and it'll still figure it out. So yeah, everyone check out Rtrvr.ai. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the AI Agents Podcast, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.